Hi, I'm Kira. Welcome back to the channel. This is Fred. Fred, can you not look so mopey, please? Say hi to everyone. So Fred just sat in my lap, so he's gonna stay here while I tell you what we're gonna do today. If you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with what we are up to on the channel. So today we're gonna do a tutorial on crow pose, Kakasana. This is an intermediate arm balance. It's really fun, but it can be kind of intimidating if you're new to the practice. What? He's intimidated by crow pose. So I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks to make this pose accessible, whatever level you are at. So for practice today, you're gonna need at least one block and a yoga mat, and we're gonna dive right into this tutorial. So please make sure that you warm up your wrists and your shoulders and also your hips. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me for class today, and I will see you on the mat. Okay, crow pose, Kakasana. So as I said in my intro, you're gonna wanna warm up because we're gonna dive right in. So make sure to do some wrist warm-ups, shoulders, and things to open your hips. Okay, so now that you're warm, let's get into it. I'm gonna demonstrate a crow pose of Kakasana one time first. I just want you to watch, and then we'll try it together a few times. So when I come into my crow, it begins from a squat, Malasana, little squatty pose. And then I'm gonna bring my hands down onto the mat, shoulder width distance. Now that's very important. If your base of support is too narrow, you're gonna feel a little more out of control in this pose. So hands are shoulder width distance. I'm gonna spread my fingers and then walk my feet together. So I have like one little, crow foot, if you will. And then from this squat, I'm gonna lift my hips. And then I'm gonna lean my knees into the back of my arms. So right into the back of my triceps. And then I'm going to gaze forward and round my upper back. So from here, it's about leaning and lifting. So you can see how rounded my upper back is, really scooping out my belly. I'm gonna start to lean forward until one leg lifts off. Maybe then two legs lift. And I'm pulling my feet together, pressing my hands down, clawing the mat. And then to come out, I just lean back and rewind my steps. Okay, maybe it looks easy. Takes a lot of practice. Crow pose does take some strength, but it's really about balance. So we're gonna work on this together. If you've never done it, don't worry about lifting off today. That may or may not happen. Just let it evolve in its own time. So grab your block. This is one of my favorite ways to teach beginners crow, is to give the crow a perch. Because if you're already a little elevated, it won't feel so extreme to lean forward into the pose. And then some of my students really enjoy putting a block in front of them as well, just to feel like something is there to catch them. So let's do this together. Come onto your block like a little crow perch, feet together in your squat. Okay, and then you're gonna put your other block a little bit ahead of you. And then plant your hands shoulder width distance on the mat. So from here, we're gonna lift the hips, lean the knees into the back of the arms, bend the elbows straight back, not out to the side. And then begin to lean forward. And maybe in the beginning here, you just lift one foot off the mat, set it down, reset. So just practice this with me. Really important things to note are that you've got to lift your hips, round your spine, so you're making yourself very compact. Keep your gaze forward. So just keep practicing and listening. Take breaks as you need. So the gaze is incredibly important because where the eyes go, the energy flows. So if we look down, that's usually when we face plant in crow. So we want to keep our gaze about 2 feet ahead of us as we practice leaning and lifting. Okay? So let's all take a break wherever you are. Just take some circles with your wrists. You can come off your block if it feels not so cozy to hang out here. Okay, so we're gonna review the principles and then we'll practice one more time. So for crow, hand placement, really important. Hands shoulder width distance. You're also going to want to slightly think of like gripping the mat with your hands, like little claw hands. Yeah, like imagine your hands almost like the feet of a bird. So you're gripping the mat. If you watch, I'll do one more crow and you'll see how much my hands move and claw the mat to help me recalibrate. Next thing is the lift of the hips, the elevating of the hips, the pressing the knees into the back of the arms and the leaning forward. So before we dive in, I just want to address something about the knees and the back of the arms. I have a lot of students say to me like, oh, that hurts. It doesn't feel good. Yeah, it does kind of hurt in the beginning until your arms get used to that. Now, if that really bothers you, you can practice crow with your knees on the outside of your arms. That's not wrong. It's just sort of a different style. However, I prefer to lean the knees into the back of the arms because I get so much more lift. So you can even watch it here. See how much more lift I get here as opposed to knees on outside of the arms. It's just a little more unwieldy, I think. Okay, so we'll do one more. If you're cooked, you can just watch. But we'll do one more crow pose, practicing with me, or maybe just watching, yeah, to see what my hands are doing here. So we plant our hands shoulder width distance, we lift the hips, we look 2 feet ahead on the mat. Begin to lean the knees into the back of the arms or the outside of the arms if you're taking that. Lean forward until you lift off. And maybe you have that little block there to help you practice. Eventually you want to take the block away, of course. And you come down. So now you've done some crow poses. Whether or not you lift it off, totally fine. The important thing is to keep practicing. Thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Please let me know what you liked about it in the comments, and I hope to see you soon.